man, welcome to the Wanderless Wandermore show with your host, Christy Candelario, a movement for life, for freedom in life. Watch ya. Wanderless, Wandermore, expert advices for sure. Wanderless, Wandermore, helping you become an entrepreneur. Wanderless, Wandermore, travel around the world, let us go explore. Wanderless, Wandermore, expert advices for sure. Come and be guided and supported by this podcast show. We give you enough insight just to help you grow. Special guest experts, business adventures about great lifestyles and so much more. Launching, transforming and leveling up businesses globally since 2012. Stay tuned and wonder less so you can wonder more. Yeah, man.
So everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm here hanging out with Cassie Jeans. We were just having fun during the intro. And by the way, I am obsessed with my little intro song. I love it. I hired someone that is in Jamaica and he did such an awesome job. Like I could listen to it on repeat. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about Cassie Jeans, not about an awesome intro song for the podcast show. So I want to tell y'all a little bit about Cassie Jeans. I met her probably like last fall, so fall 2016, because she hosted her online summit and did a fabulous job of it. And then I stayed connected with her and everything else like that. And one day she even popped up in my newsfeed for a commercial for the town she lives in. And I think that's like Port Hope, one of those two in Canada. And I was like, how cool. At first I thought it was like a branding video because she's like walking on the beach with her family. and then I was like, oh, they're trying to get people to visit and come to the town. Like she is a model. And by the way, she really is like a model. You should look at her Instagram. She'll have to tell you more about where to find her. But I'm going to let her introduce you. We're here to talk about your self-worth and, rising up into that person that you're meant to be and be empowered to live the life that you truly do want to live and wander more through that exact dream life that you have visioning in your head right now. So Cassie, tell us about yourself.
Hey, Christy, thank you so much. So I am not an official model. I am a small town girl, and I just happen to be able to get asked to do some fun things every now and then. And, I'm an absolute authority on living in the flow of your best self. And it's taken me many years to really understand what that means to me on a very personal level, and what the impact is that I want to be able to do in this world. But at the core of everything, it's all about whatever the ripple is. And a lot of us know what the ripple effect is. It's just when one person gets ignited and they start igniting the people that are closest to them, and then that ripple keeps on growing and expanding out into the world. And, traditionally, it would have to happen with a local movement, right? But because of technology, because of our ability to be able to magnetize on everything that we do now and attract people from all over the world, my ripple started off in a really small town and has now literally spread internationally, which coming from such a space of lack, coming from such a space of, one-minded thinking, to be able to say that I have an international business now is incredible. And also to be able to say that I have an international business based on my terms feels even better. So it's just super cool. I'm honored to be here with you. And it's just so much fun to be able to spread this, share the message of self-worth, because it's really, that can be a starting point for a lot of people. And it doesn't matter where you're at right now. It doesn't matter if you are in business currently, if you're not in business, if you're just dabbling, if you're just trying to figure things out. Just understand that it really can often start in the most simplest of ways. And if you can just hone in on that, if you can just focus in on that, it doesn't have to take forever. You can look back 6 months later and kind of be like, whoa, did that just happen? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's all it really takes is like 6 months. Like that's a huge transformation difference. And congratulations on being international. And speaking of that, Cassie and I are actually going to be hosting a retreat with the fabulous Jennifer Jade too in Costa Rica for anyone that wants to come and join us from no matter where you are in the world. I'm coming from Texas in the United States. Jennifer's coming from California, and Cassie is coming from, is it Port Hope or Hope Port?
It is Port Hope.
It is Port Hope. Oh, man,
it is Port Hope. Yeah, that's amazing. That commercial worked.
Well, here's why I remembered it. It's because like you are so inspiring and so faithful, and you know, you're always like in your power and things like that. And I was like, Port Hope, really, Cassie? How did you find a town that perfect that explains exactly what you do? So that's why I remembered it, because I was like, man, she's like little Miss Fairy Tale life over here. Maybe it doesn't look like that, it seemed like that in your life, but I'm like, Port Hope, she takes beautiful photos, she has a beautiful family, she just adopted a dog, like, and then her videos are so inspiring, like, really? Port Hope? Of all places? What a town name.
That's hilarious. On the outside, things always tend to look like that, right? When you get like that sort of surface layer view of everything. But in order for me to even remotely have what I do have now, it took a lot of years of figuring out how to live a life of gratitude. Because for many years, I lived a life of complete disalignment with what it meant to be able to have the privilege of living and breathing on this planet. And I was very entitled. You know, I really thought that the world owed me a lot of stuff. I really thought that I'd been ripped off. I really thought that I was deserving of a lot more things, not realizing that, you know, everything that I had was exactly what it is that I really yearned for, but I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it because I was so ungrateful. Like literally, I don't remember feeling gratitude in my heart for many, many years. In fact, I just felt resentment, like a lot of resentment. And I was very bitter towards myself. I really did not see myself as a beautiful person. A lot of people would see my photos, right? They'd go to Instagram and they'd be like, oh, wow, she's pretty. And yeah, I'll acknowledge that. Absolutely. I do feel beautiful. I really do. Hence why I like to take pictures. But it's because I'm really able to see the beauty in a lot of people. And what, before I was into self-worth mindset and business mindset, before I was into coaching, I was a photographer, right? So I was always able to see something beyond what you normally would see when you go outside, and always able to capture things in a way that were very emotional and were very moving for a lot of people. I didn't recognize what I was doing, but it was, right? But because I was just so out of alignment with who I was and what my message was and what my calling was in my life, I wasn't grateful for it. And because I had lived a life that was so shameful, I grew up with a lot of expectations placed on me as a woman and as a religious person, and all these sorts of things that really did a intense mind trip as I continued to grow up and become more of a woman, you know, in my 20s and that kind of stuff. I started like looking at the world differently. I was no longer boxed in or closed off to what was really happening around us. And what can happen a lot of time, if any of your viewers right now are empathetic, or if any of your viewers right now are highly sensitive to their environment and the things that are happening in the world, you know, I was looking at it and going like, wow, there's no hope here. There's like, what are we possibly going to do? And instead of going, oh, I can be the light, I was like, I'm just going to sink into the darkness. You know, like any woman that's in that transitional period, I find the 20s to your 30s are really transitional in the sense of, you really do start to think of things differently. Like you start to look at your relationships and you're like, whoa, is this really what I signed up for? You start to look at your life circumstances and you're like, shit, like I'm 20 now, or I'm 21, I'm 25, and I have accomplished nothing. Like I haven't done what I thought I was going to do. Like when I was like 13, I thought I was going to, you know, travel through Africa and hang out with animals and like hug like cute little monkeys and stuff. And I haven't done any of that. Like I haven't done anything. Right. And it was this like, for me personally anyway, it was this like crazy realization that I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't living the way I wanted to live. And that instead of that being a kick in the ass to go do something, it was, okay, well, I'm just going to keep on like feeling bad and sorry for myself. And I'm going to use my emotions conveniently as opposed to disciplining them so that I could tap into what it really meant to feel joy on a regular basis, regardless of circumstance. So yeah, it was an incredible growing years, and I mean years, incredibly growing years, a lot of pain, a lot of things that I had to grow up in regards to, it's almost like I grew up to become a child again. So it's almost like I grew up to like take care of the silly ego chitter chatter that was going on in my head. so that I could live with more freedom and joy the way that a child does, but without the ego of the child that says, I will consume everything around me. And it's been incredibly liberating, freeing. And because it was so transformational, because I started to continue in like years and years of personal development, thousands upon thousands of dollars invested into this like one little person right over here, in order for me to be able to get to this point in my life where I'm like, you know what? I've got something to say, and it's an important message. It's valuable. It's really designed for the woman that is she's living in too much shame. She's living in too much guilt. She's holding on to the past too tightly, and it's wrapped herself around her. She is not liberated. She is actually putting herself in her own oppression as opposed to liberating herself out of it. And she has negated the fact that choice reigns supreme in her life. She has choice over every single outcome that is going to happen. She has choice in how she responds to the things that are external sources that she has no control over. So it's this matter of, and Christy, you know this, like you get this is your beat, this is your rhythm, this is something that you created in your life, right? So you're totally like, yeah, I get this. This is totally what I've done with my life, right? And the proof is in the pudding, right? Like over the past year, how many places have you traveled to? Like where are you heading off to next? You know, like it's all of these sorts of things. And is it all wrapped around travel? Absolutely not. But do you have incredible relationships now? Yes. Are you forming an incredible tribe now? Yes. Why? Because you chose it. You chose to negate whatever your current circumstance was. You did not live in it. You chose to see the vision beyond it. And because of that, you have the right to play now. You have the right to expand more now, you know, and then you have the privilege of being able to connect with people that are on that same vibe as you, and even the more so privilege and the responsibility of getting to pass that freedom on to other people. And that's huge, right? So
huge.
It's all, sometimes it's overwhelming, but not in the sense of like, I'm so overwhelmed right now. It's more so like, whoa. There is a lot of incredible things that we have yet to do still. There are so many things that we are still going to be able to grow into and become. And that is amazing. Like that to me, every time I stop and think about it, every time that someone like sends an email and is like, thank you so much for ... And you're like, geez, okay. Whoa. Okay. Got to be able to get better at receiving here because that was a lot.
I love your story, and I love that you just shared where you used to be, because it's so important that so many people, when they look at people, you know, that are those mentors or someone that is doing so successful, like there's more to the story than what like our eyes can see at that very moment, because we are not just, you know, put in this life and like, boom, everything's perfect. Like we had that past, we had that, you know, our struggles, our everything that helped shape us and form us and helped us, most importantly, be able to resonate with everyone that is where they're at now, trying to get to where we are or even surpass where we are. Yeah. And I think it's important that we all share that and get vulnerable and be able to share that, because it resonates and it's important for others. It inspires others. And it's a message that has to be heard, because no matter where you are right now, you can have a different outcome in life. All you have to do is believe in yourself and take action, and don't lose focus of where you're trying to go and whatever that may look. I mean, everyone's vision for the future is going to look different, but it doesn't matter what it is. As long as you can have, you know, support yourself in it by believing in yourself and not sabotaging yourself, and just staying focused and taking those actions. And, you know, don't get me wrong, during anything, like when you're going from where you are now to getting to where you want to be, like even on my own journey, like there were those overwhelming moments where I felt like I just needed to quit and give up because it wasn't going to work. It was overwhelming. And then I had all these different things going on. And, you know, I wanted to turn and kind of just be like, well, I have to do my job. And it's like, no, hold on, Christy. Your job is not what your dreams were. When you were going to college, you wanted to start your business. You wanted to be a business coach and consultant, because that's what it's been about. And here you are, and you're processing mortgage loans, and that just fell in your lap. I mean, I'm thankful that it did, because it helped support me and get me to going and to doing the things, and it taught me a lot. Like I would not know how to buy a home as an entrepreneur if I did not know the whole underwriting process, because they calculate income completely wrong. But the point is that like I would not be where I was if I just, you know, oh, my boss had to do this, or I needed to do this for work, or I needed to go out and be with my friends, because I'm only 24. So I mean, I still have friends that go out and party all the time. But then I just kind of started like no, okay, is going out for drinks more important than me figuring out how to do this? Like, you have to make those decisions. And in the beginning, whenever I started my business, I didn't make those decisions. Like, I had this vision and I wanted to be there, but I didn't take that step. And, you know, like, it's like a whole nother level. I don't really know how to describe it. Like, you can be focused and going after your dreams and, you know, it's not really happening for you yet, and you say that it is happening for you. It's like consciously you're going after your dreams, but subconsciously there's something going on that is trying to keep you where you are and doing the things that are normal to you. And then like you have to have like that little fix or whatever where like your conscious and subconscious level are on the same level. And then it's like, boom, exploding and in success and everything that you want because things start to happen then. And then that's where the momentum happens. And, and that's when the magic and everything else starts to happen. And it's important to just really know that, you know, like know where you are, appreciate where you are, and look for ways to move forward because like Cassie always says, you are worth it.
Absolutely.
And Cassie, do you want to talk about like how we could help somebody that's listening to this episode on how to get to where we used to be on making that next big jump or leap or whatever we want to call it into the next phase?
That's actually the perfect question right now because what you were touching on before was identity. And this whole idea of like your conscious mind goes, okay, well, my circumstances right now would indicate that I'm actually not a millionaire. So, and my circumstances right now would actually indicate that I'm actually in the negative. And also that I actually haven't traveled or I haven't actually done any of the things that I so proclaim that I am capable of doing, right? And that's what the conscious mind does is it goes like, well, actually, like you're actually not doing any of that stuff, right? And what happens is you actually start to tap into identity. When you actually make that real switch, when you actually go from staying stuck in a certain way of thinking, when you actually stay stuck in the same habits that you're doing, right? Because it would have been so easy for you to have gone out on those nights and done the whole thing that everybody else was doing. It would have been so easy to stay comfortable and to not actually start to value the vision that was presented before you. That would have been so easy to you, right? And that would have been a habit. You would have just been going into the habit of what everyone else is doing and adopting it as your own. Where when you start to tap into a different identity for yourself, and that's really all we're doing, is we're just looking at ourselves and going, well, I believe there's a different identity capable here for me. I believe that there's actually something else that I'm actually able to do here with this. And if I was to pull myself just away from this, you know, and dedicate that 5 hours worth of creating online and actually tapping into my personal development, and actually tapping into the business that I say that I want, as opposed to joining like the drinking fest. Not that I have anything wrong with like having some drinks. I actually don't have a problem with that. I
still have fun.
I think it's actually really important to have that balance, right? It's just, you know, over a period of time, when you really start to analyze how much time we spend on things that actually do not move us forward, when we actually really start to take a real close examination at that, we realize that we are wasting countless amounts of hours week by week, month by month, and all of a sudden year by year. And that's why people make stupid New Year's resolutions. I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. I think they're a load of crap. And I think that resolutions happen in your heart on a regular basis. And if you were just to tune into what it is that your body really wanted you to do, it's an incredible indicator. You would never make a resolution again in your life, because there's no need to wait for permission to make a change. The new year doesn't actually bring that much to you in regards to your decision factor and your choice ability. It's really more so a weird thing that we do, that we believe we have to be given permission in order to be able to change. So the only person that dictates that is you, right? So when you start to transition into a new way of thinking, into a new identity, it's a process, it's a period of time, right? So, 6 months into, I've been in vet coaching for about 6 months, which doesn't seem like a super long time. 2 years prior to that, though, I was in network marketing and did a whack load of personal development within that. And that's the first thing that started to really ignite this sort of like thing like, ooh, wow, I think I could possibly do more than what I'm doing now. Wow, I don't have to just be like a stay-at-home mom and like clean like the dishes and stuff like that. Heck yeah, that sounds amazing. But then fast forward, then keep on going back, years before that, in photography, knowing that I wanted to capture more. What was my goal? My goal was to create an authentic, beautiful picture, right? What am I doing now? I'm creating authentic, beautiful people, right? So it's just like, it's just, you continue to, you've always known, is what I'm saying. If I go back and I read the journals that I wrote when I was a kid, holy crap, I'm like, whoa, I loved humanity even then. I mean, I freaking loved people even then. Holy shit, right? And the dreams that I had when I was a little kid, I created vision boards on all of my journals, right? What were, like, I mean, take a wild guess. Like, I have pictures cut out of incredible exotic places. I have pictures cut out of things I've never seen, but I've already felt. I have pictures cut out of beautiful animals, right? Because I'm so driven by animals. I have pictures cut out of children that are actually in need of care, right? Like that, I created that vision board when I was a kid. So I'm going to call every single person out who's listening right now, who's done this. I want you to go back and I want you to look at what you actually started creating when you were a kid, because odds are that's what you want to create now. So, and that's what I mean. Like, it's been for every single one of us, it's actually been years in the making. It's just, we all decided to start listening at different times in our life, right? So this is a challenge for you right now, people that are listening right now, is like, this is actually your wake-up call. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. I'm not going to paint any sort of like idealist picture around it. This is actually a wake-up call. Every single day that your fucking alarm goes off and you get trudging all the way to work and you don't want to do that anymore, that's your wake-up call. Right? Every single day that Friday night comes around and you believe that that's your opportunity, your permission to live for the weekend, that's your wake-up call. Every single time that you think that you only get to have certain periods of time off a year in order to be able to live, you get 2 weeks out of the whole freaking year. Eventually you'll get 6. Whoa. I'm sorry, that's your wake-up call. What is it that you want? You know? Don't go into entitlement mode as if someone's going to give it to you. The government is not going to save you. Your religion is not going to save you. And I don't mean to step on toes here, but often we look to authority to give us the answers that we're looking for in order to give permission to solve the problems, when the actual authority is actually in yourself in order to be able to solve the problem for yourself. And in that, then you can start to lead other people to solve problems all around the world on a global community, right? But until you're willing to really self-analyze and go inward, you can't go outward.
You are hitting on so many awesome topics right now with so much passion.
Yeah.
First off, going back to the whole like childhood journals and stuff like that, that is so freaking true. I never even thought about that. But like, if, like seriously, I've looked back at my stuff too, and it's literally like the same dreams, like the same desires. And then I like lost myself. And here I am back, like having the same kind of dream. And I'm like, oh, like there's my lake home I built on paper. Here's photos of like the trips I want to take and stuff like that. Like as a little girl, I was obsessed with maps. It could have helped that my dad was an entrepreneur too, and that his business was in GIS, which is mapping. And so I was crazy obsessed with them. I loved maps. I would make my own little like villages and stuff, like this is where the school's going to be, this is where that's going to be. And my dad would be like, well, where's this town going to be that you're going to build? I'm like, it's going to be in the Congo region of Africa, Dad.
Come on. Like, yeah.
And he's like, you know what the Congo region of Africa is? He's like, point to it on a map. I'm like, boom, right there. Like I'm like, Dad, that's where they need help at. It's right here. It's over here, and it's over here, and it's over here. And my dad's like, you're like in the second grade. Like, how do you even know this stuff? And what are you doing all this? And by like making photos of like these villages I wanted to do, I'm not talking about like a normal size piece of paper. I'm talking, I would take his big mapping roll that would be in the printer for like these 4-foot tall maps, and I would roll it out and make the whole village and be like, I want to have a train because cars are too expensive. Like I would have literally everything about it. And that is something that like I still want to do. Like I still want to be able to go to Africa. I haven't yet, but it's on my list. And then the whole thing that you hit on, the job part where, you know, the vacation time. And that was a big issue for me. I don't want someone telling me when and when I cannot go on a trip. Because if I have a desire to go on a trip, I'm going on the desire. If you want to fire me, then fine. But I'm going because I I've known forever that I was meant to be an entrepreneur. I mean, I used to play like veterinarian and you know, like have my own little stores.
Yep.
We'd always, my sister and I, we'd always play business owner, and she would always be the customer or my client.
Yep. Absolutely.
And that would be anything like, okay, the day we went to the store, so now this is the grocery store. The day we went shopping for clothes, now you're at my clothes store. Like, it was kind of whatever for the moment, but it was hardly ever any house. It was always, let's play store.
Yes. Yes.
And so whenever I started to have a job, and I didn't like the fact that someone had to tell me what my schedule was or stuff like that, because, you know, there's some mornings where it is so awesome to just sit out on my back porch. You know, I don't drink coffee. I'm big into working out. So like drinking my protein shake or something like that. And looking out at the sun rising and having my dogs play in the yard. We also have like a creek behind our house. So sometimes we can hear like donkeys and chickens because there's a farm on that side. And I love it. But if I had somewhere where I had to be at 8 a.m,
I wouldn't even know what to do with myself.
Even happen. Like,
I literally would not even know what to do with myself. I'd be like, you want me to
show up in my PJs or my
yeah, exactly. Seriously, it's like I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be there at 8:30, but I now, and it's not to be brass about people who have jobs, because you know what, I respect that, like, and I know that you do too, because absolutely it puts food on the table, it provides for your family, you know, it's absolutely incredible. It's amazing that actually we have a job employment the way that we do in the countries that we live in, right? And then it's amazing that if you don't, then there's assistance for you, right? Because I understand that in other parts of the world that's not an option, right? It's like either you get out there and you do something or you don't eat, right? So it's not that it's like a job hate, because there's actually people that are in really incredible positions that have really helped to move movements forward, because they go up to the 9 to 5, because they're in the corporate, and because they, you know, are able to fix things. You know, I think about contractors and, you know, that hands-on sort of working force, and they're amazing. They create beautiful stuff. Now, this is the thing, though, is that even within those realms, there are those people that want more from it, and there's the people that won't ask for anything else. What I would say is we're people that just ask for more, right? We ask for it. We're not comfortable. We're not okay with only taking what is given, right? We want more. And that's, I think, what is a distinguishing factor, because I know contractors who, you know, make just enough to get by. And I also know ones that travel the same way that we're able to, because what did they created, right? So it's just like, it's, I don't know. Yeah.
If you are somebody and you know, like, that there is something more for you, and that you have that job, and you know that it's not right, you know it's never going to be right, but you feel like it's the safe way to call the shots and to do it that way. This is for those people. This is for those people that want to step up into their power and do something great. You know, maybe you are employed and maybe you want to stay employed, and that's fine too. But maybe you're somewhere where you don't want to be, and don't stay there. Like, if you don't like working with the people that you're with, and you're only there because it's 10 minutes from your home, or it's a paycheck, whatever it is, like, don't be scared to get uncomfortable. Put yourself out there to find something that you love to do, because it doesn't have to be an entrepreneur. You don't have to do that. You don't have to be an employee either. It's just finding something that you truly do love to do, and stepping up into that power, and not having to worry about, you know, like, approval. Like, stop worrying about what others think. Stop worrying about the boss. Stop worrying about maybe even what your spouse says about your dreams, because, you know, the truth is, there's so many people that have big dreams, and everyone else that you talk to, if they're not on the same level as dreaming and visioning as you, they're gonna hold you back, because they don't want you to be different. They don't want you to take that risk, because what happens if you fail? Or, you know, what happens if something goes bad, or, you know, you waste all this money, or you waste all this time, or, you know,
they project their fears onto you.
Yes,
they do.
They realize that, and to break free and be free of that, and only look for approval from within yourself, and ask all those questions that you go and ask your girlfriends, your spouse, your boss, whatever. Start asking yourself those. Who cares what they think? Ask yourself, am I supposed to go on that trip? Am I supposed to be working here? Am I supposed to be doing this with my free time? Am I supposed to have this hobby, or should I have this hobby instead? do I feel fulfilled? Like, ask yourself questions and look for the answers from within, what Cassie was saying, because it's so important for you as you move on through life. I mean, I'm only 24, and I can't.
It's so awesome.
But like,
and
then I look at other people, and you know, like some of my best friends, and I'm like, you have so much potential.
Yes.
And it's killing me inside that I can see it and you can't see it, and you're not open to it yet. And I love you anyways. And you know, I'm always going to be honest and real with you and tell you that there's something better for you until you're ready to see it. But it's important that you just start realizing that and get out there and go into that power that you have, because you may feel powerless. You may feel like you don't control certain situations, but you do, because you get one life. You get one life. So you get this one life, and you get to make it as wild, crazy, fun, exciting, passion-filled, anything you ever want. You have to do that. And as soon as you realize that others don't control your outcome, I mean, you get to decide what you wear today. Why can't you decide where you work or what you do or where you're going or what you're driving?
Absolutely.
Like make these decisions bigger and more powerful and step up into it. You can do it, guys. You are. And you know, I used to always tell my client this too, until I kind of rebranded, but I used to always say, you are totally worth your dreams. So Cassie,
that's so cool. So cool. I love that. Yeah, it's true though.
But you know, guys, you can do it.
Absolutely. I remember a time, you know, a couple of years ago where I couldn't even talk about my dreams. It was to the point that I was so closed off from dreaming. Literally, it hurt. Like, I remember actually physically feeling pain when I started to ask myself, like, Cassie, like, what do you dream about doing? If anyone ever approached me about living the life of your dreams, because I had a lot of people approaching me about network marketing and stuff like that. And that's one of their like tag things, right? Is to start off with like, if you could do anything right now, if time and money were of no issue, what would you do? And I remember I wanted to give them the finger. I remember I wanted to just be like, you know what, you can F off right now, because I don't go there. And it was painful. It was so painful for me to even write down what it is that I really wanted to do, because I had just gotten so into the routine of disappointment. Disappointment after disappointment after disappointment, being promised things as a kid that never actually happened. And, you know, for anyone that's been through that, who's had a lot of things promised to you, and none of them ever happened, like none of them ever came true, or you've promised stuff to yourself and you found that you just keep on letting yourself down year after year. I just want to honor you right now, and I want to respect where you are at, because I remember feeling that, and it took me having to forgive people in my life. It took me having to take ownership for where I was at in order for me to be able to start to dream again. And it didn't happen overnight. That was probably the longest thing for me to be able to fully start to tap into, was to be able to write down the dreams that I really wanted. Now, you know, in this space now, in this mindset now, in this understanding that there is no limitation. I mean, you ask me what I want to do. I'm like, oh, okay. Do you have, like, how long do you have? Because I'll talk and I'll tell you in detail. Like, right down to like the type of clothing, right down to how much whatever costs in order a month in order to be able to have it. Like, I've got it, right? It's like really, really minute. Very, very detailed, very focused. And that's like amazing. Right? Yeah. It took a while for me to get there. It took a while for me to really allow myself to dream without fear again. So there's just a lot of layers. There's a lot of layers. As long as you just keep moving, as long as you seriously just keep following the nudges, as long as you just keep putting yourself out there, as long as you just keep, tapping into the calling, whatever it is, allow it to. And then every moment you get a little bit stronger. Every moment you have just a little bit more courage, right? And then before you know it, you are in a completely different headspace. And then it just takes time to catch up to that. A lot of the time, for a lot of people, like I know a lot of newbie entrepreneurs and stuff like that. And I know that their circumstances right now are not actually what it is that they're saying in regards to, not that they're saying falsehoods, but, you know, they believe in living the life of your dreams. They believe that, you know, having a vision for your life matters, and they have a really, really incredible big one. But I know that in their circumstances right now, they're not anywhere close to it, right? Does that mean that what they're saying isn't true? Does that mean that it won't happen? No, it's just time waiting up to catch up to what's been created right up here. You create it up in your brain. I'm pointing to my head right now for people because this is a podcast. You create it up in your brain. And that's where all the magic really starts happening. And then that gets put out to the universe. And then you start actioning that. That's the thing, you know, you can talk about what it is you want to do until you're blue in the face, but you have to start actioning on those things, on whatever level, like any level. Start somewhere, pick something and start doing it and stay consistent, right? And absolutely, like, it's not complicated. We make it more complicated than it is, but a reason why we make it so complicated is because there's just so many fears wrapped around it.
And that's so true. And so I'm like the opposite of the dreamer that you were talking about, where you didn't dream.
Yeah.
So my thing was, I've always been a dreamer. However, I've never had a deadline on a dream, and I've always said someday, or wouldn't this be nice?
Yes.
If I could do this. And so, like, growing up, my parents had a divorce, but in the beginning, you know, every weekend we were at the beach house. We went to Disney World. Like, we did all the fun stuff.
Aww.
And my parents got a divorce, and that stopped. And then as I grew up, I started to get really ticked off and pissed off when people would talk about how, like, they're doing all this stuff. And I would be like, I used to have that. And when the hell is it going to come back to me? You know, like, I was mad at that because, and then I would look at, like, my little brother, who is 10 years younger than me. I mean, he's only like in the 8th grade right now. He's probably like as old as your kids. Cassie.
That's hilarious.
How old your kids are. But he was that young, and I remember being so mad at both of my parents because his childhood was so different than mine. And so everything, like, as I grew up and I was going through high school and stuff like that, I'm telling you, I got ticked off whenever I would see everyone else getting to go do this or going to do that, and here my broken family, and we're not doing that, and people think that I'm still living that kind of life, and it's like, that's not my truth. I'm not going to say anything because I don't want people to know that this is really ticking me off, that everything's different. And here, you know, 10 years apart, and my childhood and my brother's childhood are like complete opposite.
Completely different. Yeah.
And so I'd always dream and dream and dream, but I never imagined myself actually getting back into my dreams or doing stuff like that. And then for the last, I don't know, almost 6 years now, with Brad, we have literally gone on a trip like almost every single month we've ever been together. And I'm pretty sure that, I mean, I'm going to have to retire him sometime soon because I don't think his company likes that. I'm the crazy wife always saying, you have to take off because we're going on a trip. They're probably just jealous though. But the thing is, like, it actually does get to happen, and it's a bunch of inner work that we've been talking about on the show, and you can totally transform anything and getting into that life that you want to live and being the person that you do want to be and rediscovering yourself, because we lose ourselves over the years, because when we start focusing on others, when we start focusing on all the other outcomes, you know, we're watering the grass all around us, but we're forgetting to water it right below our feet. For that little metaphor out there. And it's important that we start watering the grass at our own feet, so we're not standing on, you know, dry dirt that's all cracked, about to fall through or whatever, twist your ankle. You know, we don't want it to get bad for you.
Absolutely. There's so much truth to that. But it's so true that you need to start focusing on yourself. You do. I mean,
I don't have kids. I have a lot of clients that do have kids. I know I can't like completely resonate with it. I mean, I got to see my parents get to be like the single parents, and being 10 years older than my brother, I helped out as like the mom figure sometimes. But the thing is, it doesn't matter if you have one kid, no kids, 8 kids, whatever, a husband, a boyfriend or girlfriend, you know, whatever, or parents living with you, or friends, or whatever it is. But it's great to focus on them because you are a good person. And I know anyone listening to this is that good person. But the thing is, you have to work on yourself too, because the more you work on yourself, you're going to become a better person for each one of those people that you love in your life. And you're going to be able to do so much more and accomplish so many more things and be happier and healthier. And, you know, like life is just going to be so much more of what you want when you're grateful and working on the self-love and stepping up into your own power.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's just that there's always going to be an excuse not to. Kids are not, sick parents are not, there's always going to be an excuse not to. So it's when do your excuses become less significant? You know, when do you tip the scales in your favor? Right? Yeah. People suffer because there's too many like hurting people in the world right now. You know, there's a lot of pain because of that. There's a lot of pain because a lot of people have just dealt with too much rejection, too much lack of love, right? So a lack of love just comes from a lack of self-worth. It just really does, guys. It's so simple, but it doesn't feel that way when you're in it, right? So yeah, if there is anything you can do, is to start taking care of yourself in a big way, because you matter. You have been put here and you weren't an accident. Like, that's the thing. Like, there actually was a lot of things that had to come into play in order for you to get to show up here. Like, really, truly, like from the very beginning. And, you know, regardless of which way you grew up, you know, there was enough care put into your life to get you to this stage in your life. And my gosh, like, you're here. Like, you're still alive right now. You're still with us. This is so cool. You know, we get to connect over these incredible waves of technology, right? But like, you're here. And like, it doesn't have to be for any other reason than just to become the best version of yourself. Surprise yourself, and you will along the way. You know, you're going to be amazed at some of the things that you're going to be able to share with the world. And you start sharing with your family first, right? The people that are closest to you, and they may not totally get you all the time. They may not totally understand what the heck you're doing all the time, and that's fine. You know, you eventually will come across the people that are just as lit up as you are, only if you first start in yourself somewhere. So it could be as simple as committing to doing daily exercise. Could be that simple, right? For me, what really was the igniting force? Oh, there's so many things, but you know, it could be as simple as, you know, getting angry and acknowledging what's actually happening, like what's actually happened, right? Because there's a lot of time where we stuff down our emotions. Yes, and that's not super great. Or we put on like a happy face and things actually aren't, you know, like that. So it's finding like that safe space to do
emotions.
That. Feel them all.
Don't
feel them
bottle
all
up.
No, exactly. Feel everything. If it's safer to start in a journal, start in a journal first. If you have a safe person that you can talk to them. Absolutely. Because the more that you just allow things to sit inside, the more internalized you actually do become in the way that doesn't allow you to heal, right? So when you actually speak things out, then that means they actually existed, and that can be really scary sometimes, right? Because sometimes we went through things in our life that are so traumatic that if we actually put the words out there, that means they happened, which means that actually happened to me, and that is really, really intense for a lot of people. So I would say if that's too scary, then just write it out. Start writing down, start writing whatever that comes to mind out, and see where that leads you. Ask yourself questions like you were saying, Christy. Ask yourself some tough questions like, who am I? What is my purpose? Why am I here? What do I believe about myself? What do I believe my calling is? Do I believe I have a message to share? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how is my self-worth doing? Do I love myself? Ouch, right? A lot of people, especially a lot of women, do I believe I'm beautiful, right? Who am I comparing myself to? Am I comparing myself to what I see on the media, or am I comparing myself only and compete? And am I only in competition with myself, right? There's so many, many, many questions that you can start asking yourself that will lead you to your own awakening. I mean, gosh, sometimes you don't even need a coach, and I'm a coach, so I'm like totally like screwing myself over here. But sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just need to get real honest with yourself. Just really, really like gut-wrenching, raw, real, and get really honest with the situation you're in.
And maybe revisit some of the past things that have affected your life and get in that moment. I mean, if it happened to you when you were 15, get in that moment where you're 15 and feel those feelings again and understand why you're feeling them, you know, and start to process it and start moving forward, because if not, I found that it kind of just cycles back to you. And it reoccurs and reoccurs until you finally break free and get over it and move on and process it the way it was supposed to be processed. Because if we're not processing it, all it does is cycle back until we're ready to process it. And it's the same thing, but just a little bit different. It's the same feelings. And so we can't bottle up our feelings anymore. I know that's so big because so many of us do it. I mean, I'm guilty of also doing it and stuff like that, but you have to break free of that. And one thing that I always tell my clients, because I'm all about, you know, wonder less, wonder more. And I'm always telling my clients, I'm like, what made you human this week? Tell me about everything that made you human.
That's so cool.
Because I mean, we're not created to be perfect people. Like, no one is perfect. So let's just admit to our flaws and kind of laugh about it. And then let's move on. And if there's something that's big there that we really don't like that we did, then let's get in that moment and, you know, understand what happened, be grateful that it happened so we could get this lesson out of it and process it and move on. And then the next thing I always ask my clients are, what did you do to live this week? Because when I get a client on and they're so overwhelmed or they're emotional wreck or anything else like that, it's always because they forgot to live, because they started focusing on everyone else. And I want to leave y'all at the end of the show. I know we're coming up to a wrap. And to just do everything that Cassie just talked about. But remember to live. Live. Find a piece of living, you know, every single day. And I know that some of you may be like, well, Christy, I'm breathing right now and I'm listening to your show. I'm alive. But that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, do something you want to do.
That fuels your soul.
You know, like whether it's going on a walk in your neighborhood, going and opening up the door for someone that you never do, or, you know, buying someone else's coffee, or, you know, going on a little mini day trip, or taking your kids to go get ice cream, or, you know, whatever it is, or watching TV because you've been working nonstop at your business and you're staying up and you're sleeping for 4 hours. I've been there. I know. I have clients there too, but don't forget to live. It's the most important part of having that lifestyle harmony that we talk about in the show, and having all these little bitty pieces put together, and it will make you live a fulfilled life and in your power. And, you know, you're going to step up to it. So live your life. You know, be able to have those hustle moments, but don't forget to live. And of course, everyone's human, and talk about it. Like, ask yourself, how was I human today? If you want to, you know, you can reach out to Cassie and I and tell us how you were human. You could join one of our Facebook groups or something like that. She is living on purpose, and I'm the Wanderpreneur movement, of course. So Cassie, do you have anything else that you want to wrap up the show with?
Oh my gosh, we covered a lot. Like, we went all over the place. We went up and then we went down, then we went to the left and we went to the right. So we got in, we got out. Like, it was amazing.
We have some deep stuff covered.
Yeah. You know, you can choose at any given moment. There is we were gifted, thank God, with the ability of choice. And I would say that it is something that we negate on a regular basis. It is something that we do not really tap into the magnitude of it. So anytime that you feel like your dreams are just too big, I would say 10x it. I would say they're probably not just scratching the surface of what you're truly capable of. So start somewhere. Choose what you want this year to look like for you. Choose what you want tomorrow to look like for you. There's so many mindset hacks I wish I could just pass on to everybody, but I know we don't have time for that. But it's really just start exercising choice in your life, please, because you're worth it. Like, oh my gosh, if only you could just show, if you could see what I see in you, right? And I know I can't physically see, but I can feel you. And that is why I do this. That's why I message all this stuff out, is because I can feel people before I even meet them. I can feel people before I even see them face to face, because I understand where a lot of people are at, because I was there, right? Because we're human. And in this humanness, there's this incredible connection with all of us. And a lot of times it's this emotional twine, like this emotional string that's going around and around and around, so we can feel one another, right? So we know. So yeah, you're worth it. Do it. Whatever it is, please do it.
I love this episode. I think it is so important and so powerful. And I hope that we've helped at least one person out there listening, whether if it's this week when we launched it, or, if you're listening back, 3 months, a year later, whatever it is, I hope that this has helped you in some way. And then, before we go, because this is the Wanderpreneur show, I want to ask Cassie one of our famous questions about what is your favorite place to travel to? Do you have any kind of stories about traveling?
So currently, favorite place to travel to, is because I've had a chance to go there a lot, would be Mexico.
Oh, I love Mexico too.
I am half Mexican, so I'm slightly biased in regards to my love for it. I feel very connected to it and that kind of stuff. But the last trip we went to was in Huatulco, and we went as a family. So that was so neat to be able to do that. And we climbed waterfalls. I mean, my kid went through caves that I was like, are you sure they're supposed to be doing this right now? Because there was like a situation where you go through the cave and then there's a waterfall you have to climb up, and it's all rocks, right? And like, so you're like, bon. And my kids are 7 and 5. So, so we pushed ourselves so much this week. And I pushed my thinking in regards to what's safe for kids and what's not safe for kids and stuff like that. And it was fun. So I definitely say, like, if you're looking for a place that is still ecologically sound, it's 70% of it is still under nature conservancy protection, right? So there's still a lot of history there. There's a lot of culture, but there's a lot of conservation for the agriculture, the animals, and all that kind of stuff, which is really the environmental part of it, which is important to me. So Huatulco would definitely be the last place that I've been that was incredible, because my mind was in such a different place. Because when I used to vacation in the sense of like, oh, well, that was nice, I'll wait till next year to do it again. And this year is just like, ooh, that was awesome. Okay, so I'm going to do this next. And I'm not going to wait till next year. I'm going to start planning stuff now, right? And that's where Costa Rica like really started birthing from. I was like, what am I waiting for? Why am I waiting for this? Like, I'm just going to do this now because I know that we can. And I would love to be able to do this with a bunch of other cool women. Super cool. In the works of, hatching some ideas to head out to Peru for another event, and that kind of stuff. And then I've got another thing coming up in regards to this other platform for entrepreneurs that I was accepted into. And I don't even know where the location is. All I know is I'm signed up for it, right? Like, so it's all these, like, it doesn't even, it's just cool. Yeah. So absolutely Mexico for sure. To answer your question, I went totally different place.
What side of Mexico is that on?
Pacific. Yeah. It's cool. It's just surrounded by mountains and stuff. Like, anytime you combine mountains and oceans together, it's like, oh, it's amazing. Yeah. So it's good energy there. So I definitely say go there.
Well, awesome. That it sounds really cool. And those caves, did you see the water too? Was it like the super blue water?
Oh yeah.
It was the
super blue water. It was amazing. Yeah, and it was just like, we walked. It's like right through the jungle, right? Like, so it was so cool to go right through the jungle and just see the trees and the formations of the rocks and like the earth and that kind of stuff. Like, oh my gosh, and the views and being able to look out and just see all of it. Like, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, no, we did something similar to that. Well, I forget where we were. I think we were like outside of Tulum. I think we were either staying in Playa del Carmen or Cancun, and we did something like that. And the water in the caves were like, I was like, this is fake. There is no way it's this blue in the middle of the dark cave.
I know.
It's amazing. So if you haven't been to Mexico yet, or gone to Tulum, or the place that Cassie's mentioning,
Huatulco.
What is it?
Huatulco. Yeah.
Well,
super cool. Yeah.
Like, you totally gotta go. I love Mexico. It's
the
awesome.
Food and stuff. Yeah, it's like there's a lot of merit.
The culture, everything.
The culture is pretty sick, and so it's pretty cool. Yeah, but there's so many other places I still haven't seen yet that I'm really drawn to, like really, really drawn to. So I would say, I don't know what Ireland. Big time drawn to Ireland. Don't know why. I know when you were going to Scotland, I was like, oh, that's super close to Ireland. Maybe I could go down and just hop over there. And Bali, super drawn to Bali, right? Like, that's next on the list for sure. Australia, just in general, for sure. But yeah, there's something about Ireland, Spain, Bali that are really, really calling right now.
Yeah,
so just figuring it away. Oh, and Costa Rica was one of them too. Yeah. So just, I essentially, like, I just want to see everything.
Right.
So
I want to
honestly,
travel
like
everywhere.
I'm just good to just hop on a plane at any given moment, and I'm fine to go. Like I don't need to think about the logistics and that kind of stuff. I can just, let's just go. And we're fine. Like that's really where I've always been. I've always thought that.
In the past, I would want to plan trips like a few months out, and now I'm like, can we go? It's next week, please.
I know. That's what I'm like too.
It.
Yeah.
Come
I'm like,
on,
okay,
Brad.
well,
He's like, I need a 2-week notice. I'm like, well, can I go? I'm going to go by myself.
That's exactly, yeah, because you just have to go. It's I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because it's true. It's just like thing where you're like, you just realize that you can, and you're like, well, I just want to go do it then. And
like, let's go. Can we go now? Or do you want to go next week? Yeah, so we've done that kind of stuff, and we're thinking. We haven't decided yet, but we may end up going snowboarding next weekend.
Nice, right? Yeah, because you can. So you might as well.
Road trip.
That's awesome.
So yeah, well, thank you so much, Cassie, for being here. It's always a pleasure getting to connect with you and have you just light up the world with everything that you are so passionate about. And for anyone out there interested in meeting Cassie or myself in person, please come to our Costa Rica retreat. You will not be disappointed. We're going to be going over a lot of the stuff that Cassie just mentioned, but in more depth, and actually helping you to overcome and process that kind of stuff, as well as Jennifer's bringing in finding your right thing, like what is your thing that you are meant to do, and stepping up into that. And then of course I'm going to help you get to that Wanderpreneur lifestyle, so you can wander through your dream lifestyle, because it is a 3-step process. And so I mean mine may not be that fun, because we're going to talk about some systems and some structures and all the nitty-gritty and getting the hammer out, like we're going to figure out your business and get it off the ground when we're there, because I don't want you to have to go back and be stuck in the hobby phase. I want you to have a real legit business that supports your dreams, has all your desires coming to you, and most importantly, you have outstanding profit margins. Okay, I mean, people don't really talk about that, but I've had people that make like 20 grand a year. Well, I have like people that make like 20 grand a month or something like that. And then at the end of the day, they're like, I only have 2,000. I'm like, out of $20,000, you have 2,000. What are your expenses, woman? So we're going to be going over all that kind of stuff too, because I want you to go back and be successful at what you have always wanted to do, and rising up into that power and being that empowered female entrepreneur that we deep down know you were born to be. So let's become here in Costa Rica. So anyways, I hope everyone has an awesome day, and tune back next time for another awesome Wanderpreneur episode. Bye, guys.
See ya.